I'm confused about this budget line number here
Which one's that?
on the lister dwelling single family.
Yes.
It says am I reading it across right? It's a hard time figuring out the lines here. But I'm reading across, I'm seeing 771.
Yes.
And so what's the 771?
The annual fee.
I paid more than that.
No, I know, but that you also pay reserve fund contribution, $659. So together, those make.
Oh,
Yes,
okay. Yeah, see if that's, yeah, okay. Maybe just look twice here. 790, so okay.
Nobody out there. Put up a sign, no?
Ulie, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, great, thank you, yeah. We saw you for a moment flash up on the screen.
Yeah, I was hoping to be there in person, but instead I'm in Prince George.
Oh,
This break.
yeah, so far away. Yeah, we'll get started in a minute. We got James, we got Ulie. James and Ulie, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. And then we'll just wait for a couple of minutes. We're gonna have some people come in.
But you sitting in your truck, sitting in your driveway there, James?
No, I'm coming down the mountain right now.
Yeah.
Missing Wayne and Dale.
Well, we might as well get started, just to respect everybody's time. So, just a heads up, I'm having some issues just connecting my laptop to our network. So, but I've got paper copies to read off of and my phone here. So, let's bring the Lister Water Services Committee meeting to order. It is 12:03 p.m. Pacific, 1:03 p.m. Mountain.
I gotta wait for her.
And let's start with welcome and introductions.
Yep.
I'm Christam, Manager Utility Services. Let's see Ulie there. Maybe. Oh, Ulie, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sounds like he's muted.
Ulie might be muted. Okay, Ulie is the General Manager of Environmental Services.
Ulie, can you hear us? You might be muted.
I think you're muted, Ulie.
Are you muted, Ulie?
control over us.
Oh, we got our volume up.
Yeah. Everybody else. Okay, Greg, maybe just introduce yourself.
Greg Wonky, resident of Lister.
Thanks. James.
Belzer.
Bob
And
Bell, president of Lister.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, everybody. We normally have Alex Dumovski on the call. She's the operations manager, who'd give an overview of just operations and maintenance activities within the Lister water system for the year. Given that she's not on the call right now, maybe we can skip forward to what we plan to talk about today. Really, the focus of the discussion is the draft budget for the Lister water system. So let's just make sure that Ulie, can you hear us?
Wave your hand.
Please.
we cannot hear you, Ulie.
Yeah, you're still muted.
Want to give him a call?
Yeah, sure. So,
Where are you, James?
Just waiting for Mama to pick me up here right at the bottom of Sunrise.
Oh, where's Sunrise?
No idea.
Where is Sunrise?
It's Creston side of Moye Lake.
Okay.
I wanted to be there, but it just got to work, I guess, when you're young. Hey, get them hours in.
Yes, they do.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for the one for the 5th. They'll be there for that one for the 1 o'clock appointment.
What's the 5th?
Hi, Chris. Can you hear me? This is Emma.
I can, Emma.
Okay.
Yeah, Ulie's the only person that we can't hear is Ulie. I just gave him a shout, phone call to see if I could troubleshoot with him.
Did he answer?
Call failed.
Oh, where the hell is he?
In his office.
Perfect.
So Emma, could you troubleshoot on your end just for Ulie's connection?
Or just have him open up another one on his phone so that we can hear him. And do the voice over the phone.
And James, you were referring to the 5th. What meeting is that?
So you guys, isn't there another meeting in that email that we got to go to? December there?
I'm just checking.
I didn't see anything about that.
Those were the options that were provided. There was today or the two on the 5th.
Oh, that was the original.
It was scheduled for today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, this is it.
But it's the same thing. I don't have the audio.
Oh, Ulie, we can hear you. I can hear you fine, Ulie.
We could.
We could.
Say something, Ulie.
Yeah, there's something going on. My text messages are failing.
Okay. Chris, can you hear me now?
Perfectly. Can
Okay.
you hear us? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a network issue. I tried to send you a text message and a phone call and they both failed. So there might be something going on here. So So we've done a round of introductions. I introduced you as well while you're muted. I don't see Alex on the call, so we can either wait or I can follow up later with any operations and maintenance updates to the committee. But I thought we'd go into the budget.
Okay, it's working now.
Emma?
I have Emma's laptop.
Oh, do you? Okay. I am unable to connect to Citrix on 2 different laptops here. So I can't share a screen. Would you mind sharing the budget screen?
What are we sharing?
Just the budget.
Do you have that on here?
It's in the agenda.
I'm only logged into Zoom.
Sorry?
I'm only logged into Zoom.
Okay. Yeah, it's none. This laptop is not logged in, Chris.
It's
You
not.
You cannot enter Citrix.
It's Saturday.
I have not been able to enter Citrix, and my phone's actually not even sending me text right now. So there's something going on.
Mine was down for a second and now it's up again.
Yeah.
There, it shouldn't be too far away.
It doesn't look use mine.
Share your screen. If you're logged in from here, or you logged in from your computer. Into this meeting? No.
Yeah, well, this is the email.
Yeah, I know. It's just the email I need to log in.
Oh, wait, is there?
Yeah.
Let me try.
Try one more time off here, but Citrix is just holding up.
She doesn't know that I'm in your truck, Laura.
I'm surprised you're getting cell service out there, James.
Yeah, it works pretty good coming down the mountain for the most part.
Okay.
Nope. Now I'm jumping into her ride.
Are you heading back home now or what?
No, see you, Lord. No, we're gonna go to Cranbrook there.
So you're gonna be dying, you're gonna probably lose you then, eh?
I share the email that you sent because at the end of the day, I'm missing the Creston boys play provincial volleyball right now that got scheduled
Yeah,
after
sorry,
this
we're-
meeting.
Yeah.
So so to move this along, can I share?
Here, I'm just gonna share the screen. Here, we've got, where's your budget?
How are those boys doing up there? Are they winning or what, or is it just starting?
No, they've played 2 days already and it's been, they're just landing on the other side of the points. So,
Oh, wow.
they're all close games, but they still haven't won. But it's all like 26, 24. So it's a bit heartbreaking for them at this point.
Heart attack volleyball, eh?
Pretty much. Yes, exactly.
There we go. Okay, sorry about that. Just having a little bit of technical difficulties on our end. So here I am sharing screen here, which is the budget. Let's just in here. So yeah, we've got down. Yeah, so we've got the draft 5-year budget in front of you. I'll work down the budget from our charges and fees through the revenue section and through the budget for you. So, yes, there you go. In the far left columns at the top, you'll see the different account types. The 2025, so the current rates, along with the capital reserve fund contribution. So for a typical family home, your water bill, your overall water bill is made up of course, the service charge, as well as the reserve fund contribution. And we've got the 1 metered account, which is the dairy, on here as well, along with the current usage from that dairy, and we leverage that to make a projection for revenue. You'll see the draft 5-year outlook with the rate increases up at the top. We've projected 20% rate increases for the reserve fund portion of the bill out to 2030, where we reduced that down to 5. The metered account, again, just that one account, as of 20%, followed by 10% increases out to 2029, and then a 5% in 2030. And then, of course, our service charges, where we have all the different account types following the same rate of increase moving across. The part of the table below is just a breakdown of our revenue. So again, like I mentioned, the Mr. Water system is primarily funded out of service charges, so the charges for your water, as well as that reserve fund contribution. So you can just see the summaries based on the above numbers and rates projected out. Also in these columns are the transfers from reserves. You'll see that 25,000, 500,000, 70,000 in the 5-year budget. These are to fund either capital works or studies, moving capital forward in the Lister system. And I'll speak to the capital plan further below.
So, Chris.
Yeah.
You've called this meeting. Why are we all here? To understand.
Called the meeting to review the budget, answer any questions that you have, kind of clarify everything. I know looking at these budgets and some of the line items, they might be a bit ambiguous for you. So I can certainly, explain what some of those fees and charges are and how we calculate them.
So the committee members have got a chance to
review the planned capital. Again, this is version 1 of the budget, but we're pretty confident with the numbers moving forward. I think the capital plan is well planned out, and we'll go forward. So yeah.
Opportunities to ask questions in regards to some of the expenses, and understand where we're at with the upgrades, what work we've been doing this past year, what work you're planning next year.
Yeah. Exactly. I'll move down to the operating expense portion of the budget. Of course, right up at the top, we'll see salaries. We're budgeting for a 2.5% increase in salaries in 2026. This is compared to a 1% increase that was applied in 2025. Some notable items too, across the board with our different water services, we are seeing quite an increase in utilities. So electricity charges year over year. Less so than for our Fortis system here, less so compared to other systems, but still we're sitting at 3.5%. So that is of course impacting our operating expenses. The other notable items here.
So wages are going up 2.5%. Why is that? Can you explain that?
That's an inflationary increase that we've been directed to apply. So you typically get directed to apply that inflationary increase to wages year over year for budgets. So you'll see this in the other service budgets that you review as well.
So is this,
That's a CPI increase that's applied to the cost of living increase that's typically applied to wages.
and this was a negotiated thing? We don't have any say in it?
That is different than a negotiated thing. So I mean, these are for non-union staff. We don't have union staff operating in the water systems. We have non-union staff.
Yeah.
For union services in the regional district, you'll see whatever their agreement has put forth.
Great question on that then, because the 2025 budget is basically 29.4% over 2022. It's 5 years, you divide by 5, that's 5.8% each year. So where's the 2.5 coming from? Because that's not the math that's happening there. If that down column with the 6.2% over, or is that for the total operating expenses, that 6.2? Explain when you got those over the headers.
I'd have to, the 6.2 note, I'd have to actually follow up and see where that came from. I don't know if Ulie knows any better than I do. The 2.5% is, I think, just the CPI year over year. I'd have to look at the dates, but I think it was October to October.
Sorry.
Yeah, so that's like a published CPI increase for British Columbia.
It's a $7,000 or $6,500 increase in that line item over 5 years. It seems higher than that.
So you're looking at the salaries?
Yep.
Sorry, let's start fresh here. The 2.5 is over the 2025 estimated year end or the 2025 budget. I don't know what you did, Chris, on that one, but it has nothing to do with the average of the previous years, 22, 23, 24. They are only there for information.
Okay. But that's what I'm taking as far as there's been a huge uplift in those salaries in the last 5 years. Much more than 2.5%. So I'm looking at the historical numbers as well as the going forward budget as far as how we're landing where we are nowadays.
Yeah. We know we had significant increases in previous years. That wasn't in the 2% range, was 5 and 6 and 7%. They are definitely different. There is obviously always operational reasons too that wages go up and down. There's more effort spent or not. There were a couple of capital projects. Anytime we have a capital project, we have increased staffing time to deal with that, flushing lines, notifications, and. So there's other factors than just inflation impacting that wage number.
Hey, you just now said if there's a capital project that it's going into operating costs, but yet
no, sorry.
They should be different line items, and you just said put them in the same.
No, that's not what I said. I said when we have a capital project, then that results in increased operator needs. Because anytime you have a capital project, i.e. you need to go there and flush lines, you need to do shut off valves, you need to do this and that. So what I said is when we have capital projects, which are done by a contractor by and large, we have increased operator time. So that can result in fluctuating salaries.
Okay.
Is there a reason that doesn't go into the capital expense line?
Some of it we can. As you see, for example, Alex, our operations manager, has isolated the leak detection piece. This is a specific effort. We are trying to go out there and find leaks in lines, which is not done every year. So she has isolated, shown that as $1,000 line item to explain why we have an uptick in overall salaries. So where we can do that, we do, but it's not always possible and it's hard to quantify.
Yeah, I guess that's my concern when we had that last meeting in Canyon, and we were going through this. We have the revenues listed between capital and the reserve that we're trying to create to do these projects, and then obviously what our user fees are. But then when we come to expenses, it's getting blended. And I would want to see in this budget, when we have capital projects, since that is a special fund that is a specific line item in revenue, I would want to see that in expenses as well, so that there's a comparison, because I would expect that once these system upgrades are done, you don't have to continue to the capital improvement fund, because the capital improvement should be completed. Yes, there's going to be rotating things, but not to the same extent.
Mm-hmm. So first of all, separate showing is one thing, but we are only allowed to show salaries under the salary line item. So that's not optional to us as departments. So has in part to do with calculations of WorkSafe BC contributions and various other items that finance does in the background. So salaries always need to be shown in the salary line items. The only thing we can do is show, when we have capital projects, and anticipate added salary, that we show it like this leak detection item as a separate line, $1,000 or $2,000 extra operator time because of capital projects. That we can do, but we cannot remove it out of the operations side from the salary line item to capital. That we can't do that.
Oh, I'm not asking for it to be removed. I'm asking for it to be separated, so that you'd have two line items. And you're saying you can do that because you can do that with the leak detection and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Did you want to go over this? How do we want to do this? Do you want to present the rest of this and kind of go through these line items, or do you want us to kind of throw you some questions?
Chris, that question is for you.
Yes. You're certainly welcome to ask questions throughout the process here. Oops, sorry. How about I go through the budget, and then you can certainly ask questions on the way through.
Thanks.
Okay. I'm just having issues with my screen here. Sorry, just bear with me here. Right.
You don't just use your hard copy?
Yeah, I could. Maybe I'll just use my hard copy. I'm having trouble sharing things here. Okay. So we've gone through the operating expenses. Let's go through the capital expenses. We've got capital works plan. We've got the 5-year capital works plan. Most notable items here in 2026, we've got distribution system replacement. You'll see that that 23,750 is for design for water main replacement. The capital works is programmed for the following year.
And where are you? You're in the capital expenses right now?
I'm in the capital expenses. So we've got design for water main replacement in 2026. We've got construction in 2027. And then out in 2029, we've got a secondary source well assessment study that is planned for 2027.
And that's a study
That is a study.
for $70,000.
It will likely include field work as well, so it's a secondary source study for a well for Lister supply. We've got some issues with the existing well, its connection to surface water that need to be addressed through that secondary source assessment, looking for a secondary source of water that is not connected to surface water and is not at high risk of contamination.
Is that right? And so our source right now is limited, but it's also exposed to contamination.
It's potentially, so the evidence that's come in with the existing Lister well is that it is connected to surface water. You can see this connection during drawdown testing on the well. We're neighboring ponds. If you've ever been to the Lister well site, we do have some ponds, some surface water in that area. That surface water will also get drawn down during a drawdown test. It highlights some potential risk to that existing Lister well source and risk of contamination. So ideally, we'd be able to locate a secondary source that is at lower risk or lower contamination, does not have connectivity with surface water, and then therefore doesn't require the same level of treatment that a well source under influence of surface water would require. Does that answer?
So, yeah, well, I mean, it's an answer. But what I'm wondering here is if, like, the agenda item says that somebody's supposed to be here talking about operations and maintenance, is that where this would normally show up in the kind of meeting like this?
Yeah, we can, I know enough about the issue to explain it to you. I mean, the overall goal is to not have to implement lots of treatment requirements for that system.
Yeah.
Right now we've got chlorination, and depending on the risk to the current water supply, could have to implement other treatment requirements for that well. So that secondary source assessment would look for a well where you do not have to do more than chlorination.
I might suggest that one of these meetings, when there's no snow on the ground, should be a trip to the actual site with somebody there that can explain exactly what's going on, show us the maintenance
Yes.
and the BFE drive and all the stuff that we're seeing all this money being spent on, so we can physically see and better understand the system and the issues that are around everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Because right now we're flying blind. Okay, you're running through this stuff and it's all like, I don't know, I mean, and like, this is the first one of these I've ever seen, okay? So it's pretty much all new to me, and I think it's probably pretty new to everybody else here too. So like, I think a little more explanation of the different line items, rather than just kind of blowing through and saying, oh, we did this, because we haven't done this. We haven't done any of it, or at least I haven't.
Well, yeah, and I think that's a great idea, to actually go out and see the well site, see the treatment building, and actually see where we pull drinking water from for Lister.
Like at the end game here, are you gonna ask us to approve what you're doing here, or
there's
what are we doing here?
Yeah, the water community advisory committees aren't statutory, so you don't you comment on issues.
Okay.
You're not voting on a budget or anything, but we certainly take your comments and suggestions and things to heart in development of the budgets and in planning out future works.
Yeah, and committee members, need to gain an understanding of the system and what we're up against, distribution line, aging note and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, like line item by line item, like insurance, what's it, insurance for who, for what? What is that insurance, as an example?
Insurance would be site insurance,
Okay.
so we carry insurance, not on the pipes in the ground.
Yeah.
Those aren't insured, but on the building, we have liability insurance. So on structural elements of the system, vertical assets in the system, again, that building, we do have insurance.
And who does that insurance? Are you self-insured, or are you
No,
insured
we're-
through a broker, like an insurance company?
Yeah, the Municipal Insurance Association of British
Oh, okay.
Columbia, MIABC, is the insurer for municipalities in British Columbia. So we all benefit from MIA as the overarching insurer for us.
I mean, that was just a
Yeah.
quick example, that's all.
So another reason though, for having a committee made up of people that are part of the system is to be able to talk to other people, neighbors, et cetera. And so to gain a good understanding of the system, a site visit would be ideal, and it would be give those members a better idea of what you're up against.
No, I think that's a great idea, and I mean, I came on relatively recently here, and going to the Lister site was actually very eye-opening to actually see the right, to see where the wellhead was, to see where the ponds are that we were concerned about the connection. You had also said we had an earlier meeting today for the Arrow Creek Commission. I think the same thing, right? You Director Vandenberg had requested to actually go to the site to have a tour. So I think that's a great idea. And we can schedule a CAC meeting in the fairer weather when the ground is clear and you can see and kind of.
Yeah, no, I think it would be good.
Yeah.
I mean,
in the interim, I know that we've got some presentations, we've got some pictures that I think have been presented to the community through public meetings and things like that. So maybe in the interim, just to give you an idea of what we're talking about when we talk about the infrastructure that comprises the Lister system, that might be helpful to follow up with. So
yeah.
we take meeting notes from these meetings, and then I can follow up with you with that information in the interim. Okay. Sure.
I jump in here.
Yes. Great.
All good conversation, but the one thing I want to make sure that as the committee, that we are not going to be enlisted to go out to our neighbors and justify these budget numbers and everything else, that we're acting more in an advisory capacity, that we can have these conversations. Yes, it's good to understand it. It's good to see it, know the challenges that we're up against, and be able to support some of that. But, it doesn't mean that we're going to agree with this and where it's the direction that it's going, and that the anticipated action for us is to go out there and try to support it. So I want to make sure that that is not the end goal of this.
No, that you're exactly right, Greg. That's not the end goal of it. The end goal, the goal of a CAC is to have a committee of interested water users that comment to staff. And also bring, new information to the table. A lot of CAC members on other committees have had a hand in building some of these systems. They certainly bring that historic information to us that we may not know, offhand. So, and just to add to that too, last year we had a Lister public meeting. And the intention of that public meeting is to have staff, and of course, supported by the area director, go out and engage the community as a whole, the larger community. So, we don't expect you to be the bearer of all information related to the water system and plans moving forward. We'll leverage public meetings as needed for that. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, and absolutely. And I see this as we get to kind of voice the concerns of the community. And, you know, hopefully try to help with some of the direction as well. So, but that answers my question. Yes, please. Or yes, thank you.
Yeah, moving down the list here, we've got so we've got the capital expenses, we've got non-operating expenses. Non-operating expenses maybe a bit nebulous in name, but we can explain.
Chris,
Yes.
can I go for one moment back to the operating expenses? I just noticed that the 2025 vehicle expense is not shown appropriately. That is an allocated cost. The 1,081 in the budget is going to be what's coming out. So we have only 113 showing. So there's a $1,000 difference roughly that you're going to see as a lower surplus carried over into the next year.
Are you looking at the right?
So you're looking at 2025 budget and then 2025 estimated year end.
On the vehicle, on the account 55050.
Yeah, I see
Yeah.
that.
I just want to make sure.
So it's 1081 and then it goes to 113.
Let me just.
Actually, while he's figuring that out, the column header, the 2025 year-to-date actual, as up to what date is that?
This is not a real actual. I have to see what that entry is because the entry is done towards year end as a one-time entry as per budget because the costs are calculated, pre-calculated, and the cost allocation is then as a journal entry done towards year end. So that's why it's going to be exactly what's in the budget. And then we recalibrate that for 2026.
Because again, I'm just going to jump back to salaries, and you know, there's $9,100 for actual, and we're almost to the year end, so that's why I was throwing up a flag as far as is that only 6 months versus the full year.
When is year end?
Year end is December 31st.
It is.
That's a good question too. That was my assumption, but that's with governments isn't necessarily true.
Sorry, my screen froze, so I didn't catch the question. If that was something directed towards me, I didn't catch it.
Just that year-to-date actual, because it's if you look at salaries again, it shows $9,100 as actual at this point in time. So, but your budget is 20,000. So it's like, well, is this only valid through June 31st?
No, it is further, but it is definitely not to end of October. So it's probably roughly end of September. Then there's a couple year-end entries, minor entries that are done for WorkSafe PC and things like that. But generally speaking, I expect as well that we will stay below the budget.
That would explain that. Sorry, Chris, you were looking after that other item as far as how that fit in, so.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry, what did we leave off here then?
Well, you mentioned the vehicles and you were looking at that, but that's just something that needs to be modified, it looks like.
Yeah. So I was moving on to the non-operating expenses where we've got the capital reserve contributions, our transfers to other services. So
please go through those line item by line item.
Sure, yeah. So 59,000 is our contribution to reserve. So this is of course the pardon me while I take a drink. This is the contribution to the reserve funds that are leveraged to pay for capital works. Okay, so you'll see so the 157,063 out to 2030. You'll see down below on the bottom under reserves, you'll see the withdrawals from reserves to actually fund the capital works. So you'll see the reserve funding for the 2026 capital that's flagged around $25,000. The $450,000 to fund the water main replacements, and then the $70,000 in 2029 to fund the secondary source study. Yeah,
So you're
the other
referring back to the capital expenses now.
Yeah, I was just saying, you know, how we fund capital from reserves. So you'll see the reserve fund contributions year over year. You'll also see the withdrawals within this spreadsheet as well. We've got a number of administrative fees. So a lot of the non-operating expenses are administrative fees and related fees that the water service pays for all manner of administrative support. So I mean, that could be Ulie's time, Alex's time, my time. We've got an IT fee in here, which is you know, the money that we pay to corporate. It's an internal cost allocation for, you know, things like laptops and phones and internet service. So all the different services within the regional district pay into these fees. The larger line item.
Big one is the
here,
environmental services fee.
Yes, let's speak to that. The environmental services fee is a fee that all the water services pay into. We've got an administrative service. I don't know if Ulie wants to explain that.
Yep, I can. So the overall overhead that you have is in a service that's called Allocation Service A100, and it accounts for all of the administrative support, so the managers, secretaries, the associated equipment, office space, computers, and then it allocates out as well cost like just a second, cost like the has contracted services in it. So for example, a larger item in the past, part of it was flow through, but when we have things like the larger water study that was done for the Lister area, we have that as a flow through in that service. We have the training and education piece for our staff embedded in that service. Yeah, that's overall it.
So how do we see a breakdown of that whole piece?
Sure.
Or can we see a breakdown of that?
Well, absolutely. We have that same budget that you have here as an A100 service. It's publicized every year, so it's part of our annual financial plan. It's out there in detail, but we can provide it certainly too.
I'm just trying to figure out where we get $143,000 worth of transfer to services to the RDCK for non-operating expenses for the Lister water system. That's a big number.
Yeah, as you see, See, the
And
number is
you take it over the 10-year period from 2021 to 2030, that's a fourfold increase almost.
so the last year's contribution was higher because we had a deficit in that service from the previous year, and that's why you see it going down from that. In 2026, anticipated 118. The final budget hasn't been done on that, but that's the anticipated number in that. This includes as well the supervision of the project management team, which is responsible for our capital projects, not the team members itself, but the supervision of it. Yeah, we can provide that, certainly. No problem. Sorry, the service is actually A103, not utility services, not A100, A103.
Yeah, I can certainly provide that to you. It's included in our 5-year plans, but we can do that. I can also provide a written summary of what some of the transfers do. Ulie provided a verbal summary, but we can follow up with that as well.
Now, is this number, is this equally divided between all of the different water systems, or like?
No, it is actually, it's calculated based on the overall operating expense that each service has. And then there's a component, and that's a bit of a bigger driver on your end, is the asset management plan number. So the larger the asset management plan or asset replacement needs are, the higher that number becomes, because we can anticipate that there's increased work to lead up to projects and manage projects on that administrative group. So it is a combination between taking that whole service cost and allocating it out over 19 water systems of different sizes, different needs, under consideration of their operations cost and their asset management plan needs.
Maybe further to what Ulie just said, I don't want to jump around, but Ulie commented on how your asset management contributions or required contributions based on the asset management plan feed into that fee. If you go look at the bottom, there's two numbers down here. There's an asset management plan identified contributions reserve. So we've got a generally pretty sophisticated.
Where is this?
It's right at the bottom. So you'll see an $871,000 value here, and then
bottom where?
right at the bottom of the page.
Bottom page.
Right
Okay,
there,
got it.
okay?
Yeah.
So what our asset management plans do is, it's a catalog of all the assets that the Lister system has, vertical assets, your well, your pumps, your buildings, and then all your linear assets, which are really the driver for water system asset needs going in the future. What the asset management plan helps do is inform staff on how much reserve fund contributions are required to keep that service sustainable. We look at two different time periods, a short period, even though it's 25 years, it's a 25-year identified contribution. What do you need annually over the next 25 years to sustainably be able to manage your system? So in Lister, the asset management needs are driven by the pipes in the ground. You've got older pipes in the ground that are nearing end of life. You've got the majority of the systems built from a substandard pipe material. It's a thin-walled irrigation type pipe with glued joints for the most part. It does not have the same service life that you'd expect out of modern PVC pipe. We'd expect an 80-year lifespan out of PVC pipe. That lifespan of this non-standard thin-walled plastic pipe is less. So taking that into account, that asset management plan provides you with a recommended annual contribution to reserves. This is one of the larger recommended annual contributions to reserves at, almost $872,000 annually is what the recommended contribution to reserves is to be able to sustainably manage your system and replace those assets that are aging out in a sustainable manner. So to avoid, asset failure, pipes breaking, more frequent, more extreme issues with your distribution system aging out and then failing. We are not near that, we are getting maybe a quarter of what's required into the reserves annually, depending on the year. But it is a goal. The 100-year contribution is lower. We imagine that we have pipes in the ground that aren't going to be replaced within that 100-year span. But it's really that 25-year need that is driving what we're putting away for reserve fund contributions, because you've got a lot of pipes in the system. The pipes make up about 90% or more of the asset value. All those pipes are aging out at the same time. So if that provides a little bit more explanation there.
Hey, Ulie, question for you.
Mhm.
At the meeting in May, or like last in that canyon there was a couple of contractors in the audience there that were quite interested in approaching you guys or finding out the cost per foot based on the number that you gave everybody, which was like astronomical. Was there any follow-up? Did anybody have any success with sort of coming to terms with the cost or justifying the cost or blah, blah, whatever?
The cost is determined by what bids we receive. So my suggestion then, if I recall that right, was that these contractors that believe they are much too high cost, that they actually bid on the projects.
Yes,
And
that was my question. Did anybody bid on anything or have a chance?
I don't think we had a new project since the last time we met, but I'm looking forward to see bids from these participants.
Oh, because I thought that at the meeting, a couple of them asked if you could send them out the bid stats or the bid requirements.
They're available on.
Yeah, I don't know where that went. I don't know where it went. I'm just bringing it up because I know that there was.
No, that's a good point. Chris, can you make a note to send them the bid package or the general requirements that we have for our contracts? And I will say that right out, that they are probably higher requirements than they are used to from some private projects.
Especially insurance, right? I mean, a lot of contractors, they vaulted the insurance requirements for that you have to hold. I don't know. Ulie might know better off the top of his head. It might be something like $3 million.
Well, the problem with this is they have to indemnify RBCK, right?
You've got to carry your own
your
own insurance, yeah. And that can be an issue for smaller operators.
Right. Okay, no, thanks.
Chris, can I don't know, don't see it here on the screen, but on my paper copy, it looks like we have still Lister backhoe loan payments in the 26-27 budget. That loan is actually paid off.
Is it okay?
Yeah, that's expired last year, was the last contribution. And in fact, there's a small amount coming back from the residual value from that unit.
Okay, yeah, I can take that out and follow up with an updated agenda.
Yeah, okay.
What were those on?
Just backhoe, we include for equipment loans. We include the principal and interest payments, but those have been paid off, so they.
So this is line number 59500 you're talking? What are you talking?
Yes, 59500.
Yeah. And this is the backhoe that's our Ericsson crew has for emergency responses and various other smaller jobs. It is cost shared between Erickson Water Service, Listas Water Service, and Arrow Creek Water Treatment Service. So the three services contribute initially to the purchase of it, and then the maintenance and fuel as it is ongoing.
My apologies, everyone. I misread my calendar and I thought this meeting was at 1 o'clock. So I do apologize for stepping in this late. And if O&M and capital have already been covered, then
And who is this?
But this is Alex. Alex, actually, you're chiming in at the right time. I'm just looking at your O&M email. Thank you for sending that.
yeah, again, I apologize. I misread the time and I thought it was at 1 and not at 12, which I guess would be 1 Creston time, isn't it?
Yeah.
I hate this friggin' time zone, I tell you. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. So my apologies. My name is Alex Dumovski. I'm the Water Operations Manager. Nice to see and meet you all. My camera will remain off because my internet's a bit spotty today.
I don't know if Alex, do you want to, if there's no more questions on the budget, we could roll into O&M. It's a good time.
Certainly, yeah. I can give you just there's a few items that were completed this year, primarily repairs. There was a valve replacement on 20th Street, a water main repair on 28th Street, another water main repair twice on Settlement Road. We installed a new reservoir level sensor, and some repair work was done on a faulty contactor in the water treatment plant between the VFD and HMI. So that's what we can report out for operations and maintenance. For capital projects, there was not much completed this year. We did a lot of capital last year. So this year, there was a few remaining VFD motor parts that were charged to the same capital code for the well pump replacement that was done last year.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you've already addressed the future capital work plan, but I'm happy to speak to that as well because there's not a whole bunch of details in the actual 5-year projection. So if that's not been addressed, then we do plan on doing design for replacing 600 meters of some 2-inch thin-walled PVC on 16th Street between Sinclair and Hushcroft. We're going to be replacing that 2-inch thin-walled PVC with some 4-inch HDPE. So design will be taking place next year and then construction the year following.
Now, is this report that you're giving us here going to be available to us in an email, maybe?
Yeah, well, I'll follow up, and like I said, we've got discussion notes.
Sure.
So I can follow up with that, and I think Alex spoke to the thin wall PVC issue that we deal with. We've also got an undersized distribution main issue with a number of 12-inch or 2-inch mains in the system that require upsizing to a 4-inch, and also a change in material to the modern PVC 900.
Did she say she's going from 6-inch thin wall to 4-inch?
No, it's a 2-inch.
2-inch.
Oh, 2-inch, oh, okay.
2-inch going up to a 4-inch. The 2-inch are problematic for a number of reasons. The 4-inch is.
No, I thought I heard 6-inch, sorry.
No.
So when leaks are detected, and I don't know what percentage you guys have identified of the water that we lose is through leakage versus usage. But if you identify a pipe leak in a burst, do you go through and try to replace as much pipe as you can in new material so that section is actually upgraded already? Or do you just do it as a fire sale?
With repairs, primarily we do repair clamps on leaks, on water main leaks.
Okay, so there's no replacement normally at that point.
It does get flagged in the asset, it gets flagged in our records, of course. The issue, I think, replacing long sections of main, that may have had a point failure on that main in a reactive way is that you don't get good pricing. When we plan out capital works, and have a proper tendering process with competitive bidding, you get good pricing. So to go in and replace long sections of main reactively, we're gonna pay through the nose.
If I may, for a second, back to the question about the salaries. So the salaries are entered including pay period 21, meaning 10 weeks or not. So it's until mid-October are the wages in. Alex, for your information, that was the question, rightfully so. If we really will end up with 20,000, if we have currently 9,100 or 9,200 as actuals as of mid of October. So, and my comment was it is likely going to be significantly lower than the $20,000 that we currently have as estimated year end.
Yeah, the 20,000. So there's a bit of an error there. The 20,000 should include also the leak detection and cap support. And as you had mentioned, this is the journal entries haven't been done yet, so the 9,000 is not accurate. Yeah.
No, but the 9,000 are accurate. I just went into the detailed records. The pay periods up to and including pay period 21 seem to be in, unless I'm missing something here, but that's what it appears to be.
Okay, so that then can be that can be dropped down to include maybe the average plus some cap support on that.
Yep.
Maybe now that you've joined us, Alex, too, there's a request, there's some interest in actually going out to see the wellhead site and the treatment building. We spoke to the secondary source study and the driver for that. So I think there's some interest to go out and see that. So maybe it's something we can set up for the spring to go out and do a tour, and we can combine that with the CEC meeting on the same day possible.
So I just wanted to follow up on, you had mentioned that the asset management plan, that 871,000 for the 25 year, that's what your estimate is per annum that you need to keep the system going. So my concern is this a viable system? Because right now we have, with current rates, 254,000, basically 255,000 that was taken in with capital reserve plus user fees. So if you are now saying that we need $800 and some thousand per year, and if that's where you're heading, you're talking a bill that nobody's going to be able to afford.
Yeah, and I totally get where you're coming from, Greg. So we're not going to be able to raise that $871,000 a year that's recommended for sustainability. What happens is that it becomes a risk management exercise, right? I mean, every year that you ride a pipe in the ground that has been in the ground over its expected life, you're taking on risk. So that is, like I said, it's a risk management exercise. We fund reserves and push capital as we can based on the ability of the system to pay. If we're lucky, we get grant monies to fund capital work as well, but that's been few and far between. So it becomes that risk exercise where those pipes are in the ground for longer, sometimes maybe much longer than their estimated life. And that is communicated to the community that, hey, yeah, we've got lots of old pipe, end of life pipe in the ground, and the likelihood of main breaks goes up year over year.
And that's where, and I don't know what funding is possible in means to look at it. can you take out a bond or a loan that just finishes the project, amortize it over the 50-year cycle that you might potentially be looking at it, and all of a sudden it's a reasonable project and you get it done and you're not fighting all these fires, your operating costs come down and you just move forward and basically your operating savings saves you on the interest rates.
So first of all, dynamics of the loan. Even if I assume an interest rate on the lower side, a loan for 25 years more than doubles the principal that you are taking out. If you go to 50 years, you actually gain nothing because not all you're paying is interest. 50 years loans are non-viable. But even on the more reasonable side, on a 25-year loan, you more than double the principal that you are taking out. So
right now we're doubling the price of the product right now year on year with the inflationary pressures that are going on. We're talking $1,000 a meter that you guys told us at the last meeting to put this in the ground. What's it going to be in 3 years? Is it going to be double that? The way their numbers are going, we're going to be paying double that in our fees.
Yeah. The fees will have to go up even if you do a loan. If you do $20 million worth of work and you take it out as a loan, you have to now pay 40 million over 25 years. That's $1.5 million. That's more than the 800,000 that we are showing. So the math is not working on that unless the capital that we need to take out to do all the lines right away is significantly less than that. I don't have that number in front of me, but that is just a rough guess because you have a huge distribution system. And that's why we are setting on what Chris pointed out on risk management. We will have to live with more increased maintenance. We will monitor that. We will assess what is cheaper, increased maintenance or replacement of the lines. We will cost calculate that. But part of the problem that we have not resolved is that your lines, to a large degree, are on private land without a statutory right-of-way or easement.
Don't go there early because I offered you my easement for the connection and you refused it. So I don't really want to talk about that because I offered you.
We have to talk about that, and I don't know in your specific case. I specifically did not refuse your easement, but it doesn't matter.
Actually, you did because I had the agreement with Lon, and you stepped in and you refused it. Yes, it was you personally. I had a conversation with you about it at the time. So, yes.
Okay. But any easement or statutory right-of-way is only really good for us if it is for the line, and it is for the whole line from one road section to the other. If we have in between property owners that do not agree to it or think they can negotiate large amounts of money, we are stuck with having the line in a different location, right? So that's one that haven't even quantified, one problem we haven't even quantified. So that is one that we need to consider going forward. We may have to go to the community and ask what the preparedness is to provide statutory right-of-ways for the current line locations. But that's one that still needs to be resolved.
I would be a person impacted by that because it's on the back of my property line, not on the road. And obviously that's been mentioned as far as moving it to the road and hopefully servicing the other side of the road. Well, at these rates, if you've already got a well, you're not going to jump on to this line. But also, I've already paid that go to the back of my property with a line. I'm not paying again to make it to the front. So that's something for you to keep in mind as far as a user.
I agree, but we don't have a magic bullet for that. We inherited the system as it is from the commission of late times ago that at a time where it was very common that property neighborhoods just said, hey, let's do it the cheapest way possible. Let's use our private line. That's the shortest distance. And it made sense at the time. A handshake was a handshake. But nowadays we have a problem. We can't go on a land for line replacement unless we have a statutory right of way, right? So a problem we need to solve, a problem that we all inherited that we can't just ignore.
Well, I want you to remember that I offered it to you, but also when you did my neighbor's connection on the other side and the pipe is 8 feet onto my property, nobody asked me. So that's a bit of a thing after the fact too.
Okay, well, we'll come back to you, Greg, for your easement.
So,
Noted.
yeah, you can tell it still sticks with me.
I can tell.
Because when you're bringing it up now here that it's an issue and I offered it and yep, so.
And statutory right-of-way process is significant, and I'd rather do 50 statutory right-of-way in one set than doing individual ones with each property owner when the occasion comes up. So, but again, a problem that we are not resolving to date. The budget is our concern.
Right, but it's a concern on how we're going to move these projects forward. So, why do our operating costs go up the same as our reserve costs? Our operating costs, yes, there's the inflationary pressures and everything else, but it seems like, again, we're budgeting for 20% increase in 2026. And this has been the way it's been for the last couple of years, that our operating costs have been going up by the same amount as our capital reserve funds, which has been way above inflation. So I can understand it with the capital reserve. I cannot understand it with the capital or with our operating costs.
Yeah. So let me explain how this comes together. We apply the inflation to the operational cost as we see it, or as far as we know it, apply that to the operational cost. And similarly, then that is done with the other administrative costs that you are paying for. The rate increases are structured to, in your case right now, to say, hey, we have a big hole that we need to come out of. We are right now sitting at, in last year's case, it was only 32,000. Not sure why that is, but for this year's budget, we say $157,000 contribution to reserves. We compare that to your 25 or 100-year asset management plan. We know we are well below that number. So we know we have to increase reserves. So now we go through our budget process, have applied as communicated before the 20% increase to rates. That gives us a certain revenue. We deduct our operations cost. We are deducting our non-operating cost. And essentially that leaves us with a number for contribution to reserve. Is that contribution to reserve somehow unreasonable, too high, too low? Then we go back to the drawing board, apply a different rate increase until we feel we got it right. That's the process. So the contribution to reserve doesn't follow a fixed percentage increase. It's a bit misleading because we have these 2.3 and 2% above that. That is for the applied to the other non-operating expenses, not to the contribution to reserves.
Okay. I guess I would have expected that our capital funds to improve the system and everything else would be separated from our user fees as far as our general day-to-day operations. And that's not how it comes across. And if you're saying that that's increasing our, that basis, that sets up how much we get hit for on the non-operating costs from our user fees, that becomes disproportionate as well then.
I'm not sure I'm understanding. Could you explain that again, please?
So our operating costs are, so right now, our operating costs are what, 52, 20, so for 2025, we're looking at 62,000.
Yep.
And then we have to add in our non-operating expenses, don't we?
Your non-operating expenses.
To keep things, if we had a fully functioning system and we didn't have to upgrade anything, I'm saying that our user fee should be based on that. And the capital reserve fund that you guys are generating to fix and deal with our backlog of maintenance and in capital improvement projects would land underneath your reserve fund percent increase. And not continuing to have our service charges rise at a disproportionate to inflationary pressures, and our day-to-day operating costs going up 20%, when it was even more than, well, last year was held down because of the reserve that was granted, and then the year before that, I think it was even above 20%. It was higher than that.
So you're saying that
I'm basically pegging them at the same thing. It doesn't make sense to me.
So you're saying that we should have applied, and I'm just making something up, should have applied 40% to the reserve fund and 2% or nothing on the user fees. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, because especially if you're saying our non-operating costs are based off of that user fee, that's a problem.
Yep, and fair comment, sure. One consideration, and I'm not saying we shouldn't do it on, no, I guess this is not tax. Yeah, that's a reserve fund. Ignore my comment. Yeah, as that is a fair comment. We could certainly switch that if that is of concern, that we significantly more increase the reserve fund and leave the user fee stable. Would make sense to me. Sure, is something we could definitely look at.
Because once you get past however many years it's going to take to replace the infrastructure, you would expect that capital reserve fund to drop off dramatically, the needs for it. You might have a rotating change management and stuff like that, but you're putting in what it's going to be 50 years that you should have to change a new pipe again. So you can start creating a reserve fund again, but the amount of money that you have to put into it would then drop off once the project is complete.
Yeah. The only thing what we are currently collecting as reserve fund contribution is roughly in line with what we are contributing to reserves. So it is actually matching. But I hear what you're saying. For us, it makes little difference if we apply to the reserve fund or user fee, but essentially the message is we are underfunded.
Well, yes, but it's also more transparent as far as this is what our operating costs, this is what it takes to operate the system with user fees, and this is what it's going to take us for our capital improvement projects.
But that's what we are doing right now. You are ignoring the fact that we have non-operating expenses that are operating expenses indirectly as well.
Yes, which are quite high. So that's why we'd like to see the breakdown on that, which has already been requested. So that answers my questions for today. But those were my concerns. The one question I did pose before, but I kind of glossed over, was what do we feel our overall leakage is? I know one of the comments was made about looking for a secondary source, but is the issue a secondary source, or is the issue is we have too many breaks in the system and we have too much leakage, and once that's resolved, we will have water available for usage?
Sure.
Now let Alex answer that, Chris.
Sure. So I just want to clarify, the secondary source is not to increase capacity, it is for redundancy. So if something should happen to one of the wells, to the single well, pardon me, we have a redundant well that we can just, flick a switch and the pump is running. So it's not to increase capacity. And with regard to the leakage, the system is comprised of this thin-walled PVC. There are breaks, there is leakage. It is a very long distribution system. We can do our best with the tools that we have for leak detection, whether that's the hydrophone or the correlator, to try and detect some of these leaks. But the truth of the matter is that it's an extremely long distribution system with some very fragile, I want to say, infrastructure in certain parts. So we're doing our best, and we've identified where money is best spent to address those leaks. And in fact, the one that we did on the two capital projects we completed last year, the 14th Street PN 27 and PN 13, which was Crestview, we did address a lot of the leaks that had been occurring on those lines. So bit by bit, we will get to it. And we are prioritizing replacement based off of breakage history and based off of historical knowledge of what is in the ground that we know of. So I hope that answers your question. We'll do our best to determine where the leaks are. It is difficult in a system where you don't have the necessary infrastructure. Like for hydrophones, you need standpipes, you need hydrants, you need something to listen off of. And in Lister, it's far and few between. So we really do have to go by, best as we can, and surfacing leaks and that type of thing. So, I hope that answers your question.
The only reason I asked the question is because I know at the meeting I think you had presented something like 2,000 liters of usage or something like that, or was it gallons? I don't remember what it was, but it was a very, very high number for resident, considering most of our is residential. And I have a flow meter on my house. I know exactly what I use. So it seemed astronomically high. So that's why I was just trying to figure out how much water actually just goes into the ground versus actually gets used.
Right. And it would be, ideally we would have meters in place at property boundaries so that we could have that information at hand, so we could determine what is coming out of the reservoir versus what is being used by each one of the residences. So that would be very helpful information. And in fact, when we did that in one of our other systems, Balfour, we identified a ton of leakage, and a lot of it was on the private side. So a lot of those lines going from, the corp to the curb to the service line to the house, that a lot of leakage was identified then. So, but again, we are limited with the tools that we have in the infrastructure in place to determine where those leaks are.
No, that answers the question. That's fine.
Yeah, and one element here is because you spoke to second well for additional supply. The additional supply is simply not there. When we have to restrict usage, that is because the whole area starts to fall dry. Creeks are falling dry, and license holders on creeks are out of luck. So that's a larger area problem. Hopefully, over the next 5 to 10 years, we find solutions to that. But it is a clear threat to all water systems in that area.
I don't know if there's any other questions.
I'm wondering about the availability and the amount of effort that's going into trying to get more funding, more grants, things. I mean, every municipality in this province is having water issues. So is the provincial government on board doing any of this, or are we just gonna treat it like an oil pipeline and forget about it.
We don't see grants, we apply for them if they're out there, we don't see grants for linear infrastructure works for the most part, which is the main driver for most municipalities and their asset management, capital replacement.
But are there options at all or nothing at all?
We've spoken to it, user fees and rates,
We're not as bad as a lot of people.
and given the size of our systems, Alex and Ulie have alluded to it, we've got a very large distribution system that's substandard and still, this is one of the larger systems, but it's still a small user base to fund that.
Right.
So yeah, we don't see a lot of grant monies coming in for pipeline replacement.
And I mean, anytime we wrote an unsuccessful application for linear infrastructure, meaning line replacement projects, we did a few. We speak with the organization that administers these grants. In our case, in BC, that's UBCM. And we emphasize that they need to truly shift their focus of what they are funding. I mean, a lot of funding is coming from federal side and is then just shared with the provincial side. But we try to emphasize that they are funding the wrong priorities. But I have a feeling that neither federal nor provincial programs dare to touch the distribution system topic because it's so large. It is a huge infrastructure deficit North America wide. There's a lot of information available, studies. These infrastructure deficits are in the trillions North America wide, and governments are hesitant to even touch that because they know they can only fund a fraction of that. So that's my opinion. That's not something I can have any clear evidence for, but we try to talk to the funding agency, in this case UBCM, and say you are funding the wrong priorities.
Maybe just to add on to that, though, we go back to the asset management plan and the information that we have on our system. I think we've had asset management plans in place since 2012 or so for all of our systems, including Lister. Having that information and having an informed staff group managing that system and having that information at hand makes you better poised to get grant opportunities should they arise, but they just haven't arisen. So we're ready, we just don't see the funds coming through. Anybody else have any?
I know Alex mentioned the metering too, and I'd rather see the money go into the actual infrastructure than going into meters.
I would agree.
I would agree too. For this system, absolutely. Yeah, that's money better spent for sure. We do know, we have identified the lines that are that are top priority and do have a break history and are of substandard material. So, we'll pick those off first, and we should make good headway and progress by doing that.
And what kind of time frame?
Well, that is all up to how we approach it, whether it's funded through reserves or whether it's through borrowing. You can see the cost of, and this is a fairly, this is a 600 meter line, and we're putting, a cost of $450,000 on it. And this is based off of what we've been seeing in other water systems for infrastructure replacement. So it's not an inexpensive adventure.
These are pretty consistent numbers, nationwide.
It's not getting any, our point is, and was it it's not getting any cheaper.
It's not getting any cheaper.
And we can sit and build the reserve fund and build, and we're saving, but I don't see nobody's digging any ditches. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like, when is it gonna start?
Well, we've planned this out so that we can do it in phases. We'll start with the design so that we have all our ducks in a row. There's multiple moving parts when it comes to design and when you're in the ALR, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll tackle that the first year, and then we'll tackle the construction the next year. And, we've got contractors in the area. So obviously we're working our best to get the best price available.
Okay, thanks.
I will point out when we talk about putting money into replacing pipes rather than metering. I had that question a lot from users in the Ericsson system, where we were spending, in the last couple of years, a few years going forward here, grant money that we were given to meter. People were saying, why didn't you put that into the pipes? I'm going to point out that the province did provide $55 million, but specifically said it was only for metering to try to reduce the problem of leakage. And the regional district staff did must have gotten in line early to get $3.5 million to put into that metering, but again, it was only for metering. So I think a whole different situation than what's in Lister because of the asbestos pipe that is prolific in Ericsson,
and the level of treatment and limitation of water in Ericsson it's a somewhat different situation than you have in Lister. So the metering makes a lot more sense in Ericsson than it would in Lister, in my opinion.
Yes, and the number of connections as well. So there's far more connections. And as I mentioned, when we put meters in meter pits at property boundaries, we do find a lot of leakage, and that is on the private side. So in the case of Lister, money is better spent in repairing the water mains that we know are substandard and have a break history.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Next meeting? When's the next meeting?
next meeting. We typically don't come up with a date right here. We'll reach out to everybody and figure out a date that works. We
What
talked
will-
about combining it with that.
What will
second-
drive that though? We're not going to have another meeting before budget.
Not likely, but I mean, we can share the budget, iterations of the budget, that
What is that?
that look different.
When's the budget?
Budget will be final in late March,
It's usually the April board.
April board, yeah.
So is it,
No.
Okay.
Our financial plans need to be approved prior to end of March. That's a legislated requirement. So typically the last board meeting in March is when financial plans are approved. Should it for any weird reason fail, then they have to call special board meetings prior to the end of March. It's legislated.
I recall that, the meeting we had at Canyon and adjusted the budget, that should not be the usual way to do it. It was, you accommodated us in that circumstance. But it's more, this meeting we're having now is taking a look at what's proposed, and as I understand it, there won't be another meeting with the committee unless it's of benefit.
What what we can do is we make the few changes that we identified here as part of going through this together. I noted the backhoe loan. I noted the salaries section. I noted, what else? We have at least one more. We make these changes, then we can send this document out to the CAC members again with these changes. If you then still find something that you feel is wrong, notify us, contact us. We will consider that, and otherwise it goes to the board in that form.
In which case, our next meeting might be a site visit
It might be, yeah.
in April,
Post budget,
May,
yeah, post financial plan, adoption by the board.
So these meetings typically are what, 3 times a year kind of thing?
Once or twice a year.
Once or twice a year?
Once or
Okay.
twice, yeah.
Yeah, if there is, which it doesn't look like it, but if there is significant events or projects, then we may have more than 2 meetings in a year. But normally that's our normal rotation is 2 meetings a year for a system like yours. We have a lot of smaller systems where we do only one, being the budget meeting. But for a system like yours, I would say, and especially now that we are here with you as a newer group, 2 meetings a year. And if there's event-based something massive happening, I don't know, drought in the summer or whatever, then we can talk about scheduling an emergency third meeting.
Can I just ask a question? And again, this is because I wasn't at the early part of this meeting, but with regard to the salaries, I understand, we can drop down the 2025 estimate and certainly look at dropping the 2026 budget. I just want to point out in 2024, when we did do the distribution system replacement projects at Crestview and 14th, a lot of time is spent by the operators for various reasons, whether it's, water main shutdowns, repairing infrastructure that breaks along the way, that's outside of the scope of the contract. So I'd be wary to drop it too much below. So it was 19,000. That's the final cost in 2024. So I'd probably look at putting it somewhere close to that for 2027 for that the PN25 project, the 16th Street project.
and if it's not spent, what happens to the savings?
It just goes into the prior year surplus deficit.
And Alex, you weren't here, but it was pointed out, and you have done that before.
Oh, geez.
I think, is it?
Sorry, Ulie, had you finished your? What was that you said last, Ulie?
Ziggy's frozen. Oh, no, he's back.
Yeah,
We didn't hear the rest of what you had to say, Ulie.
Sorry, I guess it was in. I said to Alex, you weren't here, Alex, but it was discussed that we should show, as you have done in 2025, we have capital projects should show the operator time related to the capital projects as a separate line item so that we show what isn't directly related to normal day-to-day operations, but related to the projects.
Correct, and that's what I've shown in 2025.
With the leak detection, yes. But,
and the cap project support right underneath.
Oh, in 25, yes, you did, yeah.
Yeah, so I will do that then. I'll break that apart, but it will then mean in 2027 the salaries will be again close to that $20,000 threshold so that we adequately prepare for the operators to spend the extra time with the cap project support for the contractors. But I can make the other adjustments, absolutely.
And I think we too were looking for a bit more of a breakdown on the non-operating
Yeah,
expenses.
I've written that down as a note so I can provide kind of a a verbal
Yeah.
explanation of that, and then we're gonna send the A103 budget service information to you. Yeah, I can follow that up.
When is the 16th Street project scheduled for again?
2027, so design is next year.
Okay, that's actually right in front of my house, so I just curiosity.
Okay.
Well, if that's all the questions for the meeting, thank you so much for attending and sitting on the Water Service Committee for Lister. Lots of good questions and information. I will follow up with answers to your questions and some more information, and then we'll schedule the next meeting when it's appropriate.
And I'd like to thank staff, all three of you, for spending the time to clarify the budgets moving forward and giving us an opportunity to ask questions.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you for taking time.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Brendan.
Thank you, everyone. Again, sorry
Thank
for
you.
being late. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
See ya.
Thanks, Greg.
Good luck,
Thanks, Emma.
good luck with the kids.
Thanks.
What is Greg, is he in the high school coach?
He must be a coach. If he's up there with the kids, there's a kid of his own in there.
Okay.
I don't know.
Is he a teacher?
I don't know. He asked some pretty good questions.
Yeah, he does.
He asked good questions.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the whole point here, to dig into this stuff and ask questions.
Well, it's very
Down the road, you know, for
It
this
is,
kind of
I mean,
stuff, when this stuff comes out, I mean, you send this out an hour before the meeting,
And yeah,
Doesn't
and
work.
I take ownership on that.
doesn't work.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work.
Agendas and stuff like that, we need to have some time to
Yeah.
sort of
Days to
prepare
do it.
questions, you know, and I got that this morning.
Yeah, we got
Yeah,
it.
that was an update to it. I noticed an issue with it last night.
Yeah,
So,
the previous meeting too, we were
Yeah.
struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that and
Well, it's just that, I mean, you know,
give you at least 2
we're
days,
interested to
3
be
days.
involved in your projects, but you gotta sort of include us as being part of your team.
Yeah.
Otherwise, making us seem like we're sort of sitting on the bench and I got other stuff.
No, exactly, yeah, and I wanna make the best use of your time and information.
But I sure like to see some of this stuff get actually moved.
Yeah, good point. Well,
It's getting expensive, and it kind of makes me think almost like this, you know, the long range budgeting and stuff, it's all good to do all this stuff, but like,